Good. Been home now a week.
In Chicago. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's good to
You
be
got to
home.
speak up. I can't hear
Good
you.
to be home.
Yeah, yeah. It's nice to. I've only seen you once from across your stoop, but I'm hoping we get to do more of that soon.
Yeah. And I'm happy to even see any of you that way,
Yeah,
but yeah, I can't wait till we can be in the same room, huh?
yeah. But at least we can hang out outside, which I know you did with my daughter Nola yesterday, right?
Yeah. She's so sweet. She called and said, "Can I come over and sit in your yard and just talk?"
Yeah. Her arm is not broken, by the way.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
good.
Yeah.
So she can take off the sling or?
I haven't heard the whole deal of what she needs to do. I just heard no breaks.
Oh,
So
good.
yeah, so that's good news.
That is,
Hey, we're drinking some tea. Welcome to Tea Time at the Apothecary. Thank you for joining us. If you're with us, we are drinking Borage Tea today, right?
Mhm.
Borage. Borage, Borage.
I say barrage, but I'm sure it's probably correct either way.
Yeah, I try to make it rhyme with porridge. So, or porridge. So anyway, uh, yeah. So we picked this for a reason. It's been, we've been talking about a lot more than just tea on all these calls, but I think we were sort of eager to get a tea that maybe felt right for
The
sort
times.
of how we're feeling right now. So
Right.
tell us why we picked this, Reet and Jay.
Well, this
Well,
is
yeah, go ahead, Mama.
an adrenal gland tonic. And the adrenal glands are what produce the cortisol, which is important. You know, if we have fight or flight, we have to be able to act quickly. But if there's too much cortisol for too long a time, it's very bad. And stress is what causes it. And so this as a tonic helps to
Regulate.
regulate that. Yeah.
Regulators, mount up.
Yeah.
Um,
So
Mom, Mom won't get.
Warren G probably drinks a lot of this tea. Huh?
Yeah, I was like, Mom won't get that reference, but
Yeah.
that's okay. Um,
All right.
it's a beautiful plant. Have you? Do you know what it looks like? Do you two know what it looks like?
I don't know.
You should.
I've seen it. Is it tiny like leaves?
No, the plant is like these gorgeous purple star flowers. They're they're beautiful, and they sort of have like, that like I don't want to say like cactus because they're not succulent, but like they're like these. The blooms before they bloom are sort of like droopy, and then
Yeah.
like teardrops, and then they're covered in hairs everywhere. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture right
You've
now.
seen them. You've seen them before.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. It's a really beautiful plant.
It is.
They call it starflower, actually. You make this. You can make the tea for the leaves and the flower. Out of the leaves and the flowers, they use these seeds to make the oil. And that's what you end up seeing in a lot of skin formulations that deal with dermatitis and various inflammation of the skin. So it's generally an anti-inflammatory.
Right.
So if it alleviates inflammation,
They say it's great in for pleurisy, which is a word you don't hear very much anymore. When I was
Yeah.
little, people talked about that all the time. But pleurisy is an inflammation of the pleural sac that covers the lungs.
yeah, and so it's often used in asthma situations as well.
Right.
Pleurisy. Wow, that's an old school word.
Yeah. When I have croup, I usually don't refer to pleurisy that often. I'm just kidding. Croup, pleurisy, lumbago. What are the other, the terms that we don't hear too often anymore when we talk about
Piles,
piles? Yeah.
consumption, right? Isn't that tuberculosis?
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, you'll see in Evan Healy, I think, a couple other the skincare lines that we have. You see in their serums, you see a lot of borage seed oil.
Yeah. Well, it
Yeah.
makes sense if it diminishes inflammation. The other thing, though, it's what they call a galactagogue, which increases the flow of mother's milk. So I'm sure it's probably one of the ingredients in
In more
some of
milk. Yeah.
milk tea mixtures. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Well, I'm not using it. I wouldn't want to use it for that personally, but I'm glad to know that. And I think what I was going to say is
it does sound like something from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Galactagogue.
Yeah, galactagogue. Oh, we have to defeat the galactagogues, Captain.
Yeah.
Use borage.
Yeah.
Bring up the borage. We have to defeat the galactagogues.
That's really stupid.
I know, but it's
I like it. What?
You said you were trying to be sillier, right?
I am. It doesn't mean I can't laugh at you, and make fun of you. Yes, I think that's true. I usually let you guys talk about the uses and all the cool things about the herbs, and I just focus on how does it taste. And it's funny because I happened to look at this when I first tasted it. I was thinking it's a little green, a little vegetal, and then I pulled up when you said look at the flower, and it says the plant with the taste of cucumber, which is green vegetable kind of situation. So I thought that was kind of cool. And it does. Now that I taste that, I can see what it means. There is kind of a cucumbery green, fresh flavor,
There's also it makes sense to me taste-wise that it would be used for asthma because actually there's a little hint of sort of earthy sweetness that you get from licorice, but just 0.2 of what you get from licorice in this.
0.1, yeah.
Yeah. 0.13.
Yeah. 3.7, 1.37.
I feel like it's kind of, and I don't know because I haven't actually eaten green hay, but it's kind of I was thinking hay.
Yeah.
But when you said green, yeah, kind of a
straw, yeah, like a green
green straw kind of flavor.
Extremely mild. Huh?
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up to John, Lisa? Thank you for joining us. Anonymous, nice to see you back. Talking about, you mentioned that borage is high in omega-6. You've heard it's good for psoriasis, not verified though.
Hey, David Brown. David Brown says, hi, Mama Q.
Hey.
Hi.
So
thanks for joining us, David. What's up, man?
Mom, how you doing? What was it like flying on a plane? People might want to know what that's like.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I was kind of assuming that it would be a rather empty flight because most people aren't flying. However, it was not by any means empty.
Was it packed?
Wasn't totally packed. Some of the middle seats were empty.
Mm-hmm.
My row, though, was not.
Really?
No. But it was a different feeling. Everyone was wearing a mask.
They were?
Yeah.
G said his flight was not. Everyone.
He said the families were not. And there's a big article saying that most airlines are reluctant to enforce
it. Yeah.
They'll have a discussion and talk about options. I'm like, what's the option?
Yeah.
Get off the damn plane.
Yeah.
AirTran is the only one saying we'll kick you off if you don't
Oh,
want.
JetBlue said it.
Oh, JetBlue. Sorry, I knew it was one of those ones.
Yeah.
But although they had made an announcement that you must wear it, but I've also read that they can't enforce that, so anyway.
Can't or won't, I think.
Or won't, yeah. But it very few people got up. It's about a 4-hour flight from Palm Springs to Chicago. I saw 1 or 2 people get up to go to the bathroom, and that was it.
In a 4-hour flight. Normally people are like, you know,
Yeah, sure.
going all the time, hanging out in the aisles, whatever.
Is it, I mean, obviously the average age in Palm Springs is higher. Was the flight, I mean, was it obviously the families who go to Palm Springs, a lot of them have canceled their trips. So
Right.
was it mostly older people returning?
It probably, yeah. There were a lot of middle-aged people, a couple of kids, you know. But people.
Were you wearing, I know you were wearing like double mask. Were you wearing goggles too?
Yes.
You did? Did you feel crazy?
Yes.
We
Did you
made
have
you
gloves? Did you have gloves too?
I put gloves on. Dad didn't wear gloves. And
we made you do that. I just want to say,
yeah.
I just like, you know, if you can spread that way, if it's airborne, why put on some ski goggles? What's the big deal? Who cares if you look like an
awesome robot?
Yeah. Who cares if you look like you're Daft Punk going to DJ a set, right?
But I didn't actually care. Nobody was looking at each other either.
Yeah.
And it was eerily quiet. You know, people weren't talking, and even people that I saw talking, they were like leaning and whispering to each other. You know.
Yeah.
So, but
well, it's good to know that people, even if they're flying, at least your flight, they were taking it seriously. You know.
Yeah. Well, but like you say, if you're in the older age group, you're already.
Well, that's what I wondered, if like because of the general population of your flight, it was so different than G's, you had a much different attitude on that flight, you know?
Yeah. Except that, I mean, the little girl who was in 2 rows in front of me, she was probably 10, 12, I don't know. She wore a mask too. You know, her dad did.
Some kids JJ will leave his on. He comes back from going outside and he leaves it on for like an hour. The kid just leaves it on. Just like, he's like, an object on my face tends to stay on my face.
Yeah. Well, also like he feels like a superhero. He's sort of like a ninja.
He's like and you made him an octopus one, so he's an octopus ninja, which like you can't really beat that.
Yeah.
You know?
Agreed. I'm sort of mad. When I saw that, I was mad that you didn't make me an octopus mask.
Yeah, when me and T were at the protest, and our families were at the protest yesterday in Wells Park for Black Lives Matter.
Which was really great.
It was
so great to see so many people come out. It was awesome.
We saw
the helicopter.
Yeah, it was really loud. You know, it turned into a giant march, and they marched all the way down Western and then down Lincoln, and then it was really incredible. I was very moved by it. I've been to many protests, and I went to the ones after 9/11 against the Iraq War in DC when we all marched on DC. I was in France during the march against Le Pen, which was Le Pen's father was getting a lot of steam, and this sort of current movement we see.
Nationalist.
Yeah, we see of like divisive, super uber nationalist kind of politicians. That was like kind of the first peak of that we saw. And I happened to be in Paris the day of this actual 1 million person march. It was over 1 million people marched. And I climbed up a light pole and I took a picture in either direction. And I would say 20 feet above the crowd, and I could not see the end of people in either direction. It was one of the most amazing things. But yesterday, I was even more moved than any of the other ones I've been to, because for the first time, people who are not I don't know if I can get through it, but I was so moved by the fact that people were truly marching for others, and in a way that I haven't seen. People
Yeah.
march when something affects them. And yes, this affects all of us, but the acknowledgement that this is affecting all of us was powerful and palpable. And seeing that in a North Side Chicago neighborhood, how riled up and motivated, and it didn't feel like, all right, now we've done our part. It felt like this was the beginning of something. And I
Yeah, I
just
hope it
felt
is.
so smart. I felt so lucky that we live in at a time where people are so motivated and young people are just teaching me so much, you know?
Yeah, I agree. That's the feeling I have right now is I don't want to get off on a generational rant, but like in a way, it made me feel a little bit sad. I always kind of feel like Gen X is cool. I'm a Gen X kid, but we're pretty cynical and we're a tiny generation sandwiched between two much larger generations. Demographically, that's just known. Like there's not that many in Gen X. It's kind of a half generation and it's a low birth rate time. And I do feel like, why is it that at a national level, we have like 70 somethings in power? No offense, mom. But, and then, you know, I have my daughter and people younger than me sort of frustrated. And where are we? We're sort of in the middle being like, is it our turn yet? Well, we kind of just got to wait till things get better. I feel like I've been thinking about that, thinking we've sort of lamed out as Generation X, and it felt good to be like sort of
Reinvigorated. Yeah.
listening to the impatience of younger people and being like, "You're right. I've been falling asleep on the job." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. That's how I feel.
I felt that very, very strongly. I mean, it wasn't like something I was talking about. I just was moved inside about it, you know? And just to see my kids there and to see them sitting there with your kids, T, and
I know.
it was huge.
Yeah, and just the thing that made it so great is the amount of cars coming by and interacting with the people. I think that just sort of like it was just all. It was like I saw friends. It was just like I don't know. It was this great mix of like it was massive and felt somehow intimately connected at the same time because people were coming by in cars and walking by being like and just pointing at people being like, you know, I don't know, there was a great interaction. It just felt like a great energy, and my thought was, let's keep this going. I hope we can sustain this. I hope you're right, Jay, that this wasn't the fact that it was you know, 8-9 days later after sort of initial large scale, well, even more, 10 whatever days later after initial large scale marches and things like that. And it feels like it's growing in an area where, let's be honest, like the North Side, as you mentioned, isn't where you would think of like the primary people agree, like who have, you know, grievances against the system. Let's be honest, that's not the starting point. And the fact that it's still growing 10 days later, that feels just great.
Yeah, that was what I thought was really impressive, you know, and I'll admit, you're right about the generational thing. I'm a cynical person, and I was even cynical kind of walking over there a little bit. Like, what is this gonna feel like? Is this just like, you know, white Lincoln Square babies and dogs making themselves feel better for something, you know? And it wasn't that at all.
Yeah,
no, it really wasn't. It was people demanding just a different approach.
Yeah. Like, let's rewrite the rules.
Yeah, like we've been operating on a set of givens that aren't working. Let's start to rewrite those, and that was powerful.
And it's nice, but part of that is they want something better for their kids too, you know? I mean, you're talking about young people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, you know, you can't, I was thinking about that too. When you have a family, you know, I have that sort of a little bit cynical voice in my head. It's not my main voice, but it's always there as like sort of who I am, Gen X kid, like sort of everything is ironic. Everything is sort of, I'm cynical about everything. I feel like I have that voice, but I was thinking like, in the end, you build your family around what you believe in and you want to teach your kids. And so a movement for change, it may start in certain demographics or groups or age ranges, but it's got to spread to families. It's got to spread to everyone. And like that felt like an important step along a journey. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Not that it's about Lincoln Square. I'm just like, I'm saying this like across the country. It's just, that's where I experienced it firsthand yesterday. But it feels like across the country that is becoming something that feels good, you know?
Yeah, for sure. It's always good. It's always a good feeling to belong, right? And to be.
And
Yeah.
mom, you were alive, like, you know, and of age, like you were like, you know, 20, what were you, 20 years old when in 69, you were 20 in Chicago of all places, you know?
Yeah.
So you've seen some stuff.
Does this, you know, I think I was talking to Rachel's mom, who's 83 or in her 80s. I don't remember, 82, 83, but she was maybe 81. I don't know. Anyway, she said, you know, she was in Berkeley in the 60s and said she hasn't felt this level of activism at a large scale in the country since she was a young person, you know, a young woman in her 20s or whatever, in even older, but in Berkeley in the 60s.
Yeah.
I don't know, which I thought was cool.
It's a good thing. Hmm?
Yeah.
It's a good thing. Yeah.
Therese says hi to you.
What else did she say? She said,
She talked about Generation X. She said she's learning a lot about what protest really looks like, that we can add our voice into a powerful movement rather than feel like we're not enough to help. Yeah, I agree. That's kind of what I was saying. It's like, it always felt like, well, my intentions are good and I'd like to do more, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. And it feels like I need to start thinking a different way.
Yeah.
yeah. I just want to repeat that I'm JQ, this is TQ, this is Mama Q. We're hanging out, we're discussing the world and drinking Borage Tea.
Borage, however you like to say it.
I think Dad used to, in the front of the store, used to say Borage, but I don't know, like a soft G.
I like the hard, if you're going to say Borage, it's either Borage or Borage. I don't know, listen, to me, that's.
Well, they're both
Dude,
coffees.
don't barrage me with different pronunciation.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's
delicious.
Yeah,
it is delicious.
I like it.
It's an anti-inflammatory. It's good for your skin. It's good for
Stress.
pulmonary health, and it's good, as Mom was saying, as an adrenal regulator for stress, because we are in right now a prolonged state of fight or flight.
Fight, flight, or freeze is the right actual thing that they say.
Okay,
Yes,
so whatever, but yeah, you know what I mean. Like the stressors are high, so our flight or freeze response is prolonged, and we're sitting in here and we're getting drained, into deeply fatigued, and so for adrenal fatigue, get yourself some borage.
Yeah.
Borage tea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
That feels good. Hey, Mary Josephine. Yeah, I don't know about if it's Metra, what the story is, but I have seen certainly the L is running. I haven't taken it much, but I haven't had many places to go, I have to say.
Hey, T, can you tell us about what you've set up, what you guys have set up it's on the Q Brothers side, right?
Yeah, on Shops at MERS. So right now, we're not fully, so we're open. If you come here between 10 and 5 right now in Lincoln Square, not downtown, you can come in and we're calling it Walk Up because, you know, here's the deal. We're trying to think, our goal is we're keeping a lot of people, our whole team almost employed pretty much at this point. And our feeling is we want to serve our customers, but we don't want to endanger people in a store where everyone likes to touch and sniff and do everything like that. We feel like we'd like to wait a little while longer before we open up the store to let everyone touch things, because if something did happen, then we actually lose our ability to fulfill on the web all over the country, to do curbside pickup to people locally, to do our Amazon business. And not only is that bad for our customers, actually, like one person, too much exposure could wipe out our whole business right now. And that puts a lot of people out of work or jobs, you know, being insecure and sort of unstable business. So we're doing Walk Up. So we've sort of set up a cool waiting room counter area. You can come in, you got to wear a mask. You can come in, you can talk to our team between 10 and 5, Monday through Saturday here in Lincoln Square. You enter from the shop side and you basically walk up to a counter and tell us what you'd like. And you can ask questions, you can consult. We are taking cash and credit cards. We're doing it from a little bit of a distance. So we're trying to keep it so that we're spaced out. And if it gets too crowded, I think we're letting like 3 to 4 people in at a time. And we still encourage you, if you know what you want, just call us or go online at smallflower.com and place an order. And then all you have to do is come in and be like, I'm here to pick up this order, and we give it to you. So that's sort of the plan for right now. And then we're going to see how it goes. And assuming we can keep the curve flattened, then we'll talk about reopening the store as a whole. But our goal right now is to make sure we continue uninterrupted.
If somebody is struggling with like autoimmune disorders or has sort of is a high risk and they don't feel comfortable coming in, will you still bring it out? Is the curbside still available?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can come in curbside. You know, most people, the weather's nice enough, most people are just walking up and standing at the curb. You know, some people are pulling up and like parking across the street. The parking is getting fuller right now. I'm looking out there. But, you know, there's usually enough room. You can pull up to the curb, right up against the curb on our side, and we'll walk it out to you if you tell us where you are. So if you're right in front, we'll walk it out, no problem. Yeah.
Cool.
Good.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's good. And I just want to thank everyone who's been ordering from us, calling us, doing curbside pickup, and being patient with us. I know it's frustrating when you're used to sort of walking in and just picking out what you want. And I would ask that please bear with us in the meantime. We're trying to do this as safely as possible for our whole team and for you, so that we can stay open no matter what happens, and then reopen more and more as time goes on. But thank you. We really appreciate it. You're keeping a lot of people in work, a lot of really good people, I have to say. Obviously, everyone's good people, but our team is especially good.
Yeah,
So
that's great. It's hard not to walk into a place and pick out what you want, you know?
Especially a place like this, right?
yeah, where picking is part of the joy. You know,
Yeah.
I get that. And there are definitely a couple people who have expressed frustration. Like, what do you mean? It was on Wednesday. They showed up like first thing. We're like, you're not open, but you're allowed to open. And, you know, we're kind of trying to get everyone taken care of, but also just make sure that we do it right. And to be honest, you know, in order to stay in business, we had to convert like our stores into essentially pick-pack warehouses. So they were looking pretty ragged, and we're using a lot of the fixtures in the store as like counters to spread out and do picking, packing, sorting, all of that stuff. So we also felt like we can't really let people into a warehouse. So we had to we're going in steps, like opening up the front, then open up a little bit more, then
And
open
like
up
figuring out, right? Like figuring out for all the people that are with the increased online orders, how to space them. It's, you know, you don't have a solution yet, right? Like that, you're in the middle of working on that, right?
To what? I missed the word.
I said you're in the middle of working on how to still keep people with space while you open up the store. That's not like a simple.
No, it seems simple, but you know, let's be honest, these Chicago buildings, it's a pretty narrow space. So it's like, how do we keep our own team spaced out? And then let's be honest, most of you who've been in the Apothecary before, it was narrow and tight when there was no social distancing, people were all up on each other. Like, how are you going to, if you're looking at the deodorants, like there's barely room to pass by someone, for someone to pass by you to get to the register. So we're kind of keeping that in mind too, you know? So
Plus,
yeah, we'll figure it
I
out.
feel like when stores say, "We'll let 5 people in," or whatever. I mean, I haven't experienced it yet, but my thought is, now I'm feel like I have to rush because there are people waiting to get in. I can't just browse, you know?
Yeah, you know, that's kind of getting back to, you're right. But I think that the stores that have been doing it really well, I haven't been to that many, but it's, you know, for good, for better, for worse, if they're doing it really well, they're usually having someone and have a system. Like I had to pick up some equipment for technical kind of emergency right as this began. And I have to say, like the first day, Micro Center had a system. You walk up, you wait in line, and it was cold out still, right? So you walk up, you wait in line, you give them your name. The system automatically texts you when it's time to go in the store because it keeps track of how many people are in the store. They had someone tracking people going out, someone going in, and you walk up, you give them your name, they walked in, and they had spots to check out. It was pretty cool. But the point I wanted to make is that most businesses don't have, we're at like a historically difficult time just to keep people employed to do anything, and there's not as much business. So the idea that you now have to have additional people to sort of keep track of that, I got to be honest, from a small business standpoint, it's really, it's a challenge, right? You're like, I mean, we have it better than probably a lot of places because of our web business, and that's keeping us, you know, sort of chugging along. But if you're a small business and you haven't had anybody, like how do you get people just and pay them just stand at a door and count people and keep them spaced out and whatever? It's a lot. So be patient with your retail businesses. It's not been easy at all, you know. So I just say that. PSA, public service announcement for your retail peeps. From one retail peep for the rest of my retail peeps, be nice to them.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Therese is wondering if you drink the tea, drink borage in a tea or in a blend, or just drink it alone. So
today we're just drinking it alone, but yeah, feel free to blend it. It would be great to go with nettle. It would work perfectly together with nettle in terms of being for skin issues. It would blend well with a licorice or a thyme for a pulmonary issue. I mean,
rosemary would be good.
I could see a bunch of ways to use it.
I think, isn't it in the when we had the lady time tea from Kayla, was borage in there? I believe it was. Am I misremembering? I'll have to ask Lisa. So Kayla on our team made a blend for herself, and she brought it.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
We drank it. We talked about it then, and then
because it was like in case there was like hormone related skin issues, she added it to the.
Yeah, and now Lisa's been helping, and they're working together, and Lisa's been making variations on that.
I got the newest version, the version 3.0, and it's upstairs. Greta's, got it, so we're gonna try it.
Nice. Yeah. So anyway,
that's good.
It's nice to see you. It's nice to have my fam on the call. Thank you for all of you who joined us.
Mama, anything else? Any words of wisdom for the day, Mom?
Oh, man.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm putting you on the spot.
You just did, yeah.
Too late.
No, I just wondering if you read something interesting recently or have been thinking, or what have you been thinking about before you go to bed or when you wake up? What is your mind?
Yeah, you're sort of quarantining right now that you took this plane trip. We haven't really seen you.
Yeah, I know.
What's keeping you afloat?
Yeah, actually, there's a book that I'm reading that's really helpful right now. It's called The Universal Christ by Richard Rohr. And
he's sort of on the meditations sort of mystical side of Catholic thinking, right?
Yes.
Or no, isn't it? Yeah. So.
Yeah, he's a Franciscan priest, but he's saying how Christianity has failed us because we've made it an individual
About
saving,
individual redemption rather than.
and it's not.
Hmm.
His message is we're all saved or nobody is, you know.
That's cool.
That's very cool.
I have to say,
That's
if
very
you're-
apropos for right now.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. I'm not I would just say for people who hear that and think, well, that's not me. I would say it's not really me either. But I have to say, because of you, Mom, I've read a number of things of his, and I would say you don't have to be. It is definitely religious, but you don't have to be religious to sort of take away a lot of really good implications for humanity from his writing.
Yeah, for sure. And he always references and includes all religions. You know,
Yeah.
it isn't just about Christianity. It's across the board, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
So
Cool, Mom. Thank you. It's nice to drink tea with you. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you very soon.
I know.
I know. What do we got? What do we got left, Mom? Like a week? What's going on?
Huh?
Yeah, you stay locked up and then you join our quarantine pod.
I'm going to the grocery store tomorrow, Mom. So give me your list and I'll drop off your stuff, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Hey, happy
All right.
Monday, everyone. We'll be back. We'll see you on Wednesday, I believe. We're going to start doing it probably,
Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're going
Monday,
to
Wednesday, Friday, and we might throw some extra ones in there sometime, but Monday, Wednesday,
Oh!
Friday. Yeah.
Wednesday. We've got Matthew Scholar joining us, who is, a brother to me and you, but also, and maybe, the
One of the
greatest
best living harmonica players, blues harmonica players.
out there.
In the world.
And he will blow your mind. He is going to be playing. Oh, look at that, Mary Josephine. She's doing her vegan diet and day 8 and ordered a vegan pizza from Demos last night.
Yeah, cool.
That's awesome.
I'm going to be talking to Dimitri this week. I will pass it on, Mary Josephine. Thank you for doing that. And Deb, nice to see you. Sorry, Jay, continue on your.
Matthew Scholar on Wednesday. So please tune in. We're going to have incredible live blues music. He's going to play some songs. He is an expert on all things cognac and everything in French culture. So if you have any questions,
Wine and cognac and French cooking, and he's a great chef. He's a great chef too.
And he is on now day 9 or 10 of the Plant Paradox diet.
So we're going to talk about.
We're going to talk about that
diet and lifestyle changes.
and plus, just like I've known him for almost 20 years now, and we'll have some interesting dialogue about being artists and being artists in Black music, actually, which is going to be an interesting conversation too. He has some really cool thoughts on that, and early on gave me a lot of tutelage coming into a culture that was not my own, and expressing myself through that music and how to do that with respect and love. And so that was kind of a cool conversation.
Yeah. It's going to be fun.
Didn't he on one of the songs of your first album?
Yeah, this is hip hop. The first song on my first album, he is playing the harmonica. That's how I met him. I heard him play once, and then he was like, "Come over and let's chop it up." And then I came to bring the song over, and he's like, "I'm on the phone. I can't meet right now." I went to his apartment, which was on Leland, around the corner from the store.
Yeah.
And I handed him the CD, and he goes, "I'll get at you if I like it." And he shut the door on me.
Yeah.
and then the next day, like an hour, 2 hours later, I get a call from him, and he goes, "You are a poet, my friend." And he repeated like 16 lines from the thing he had already memorized, and he's like, "I love this. This is good." And then he had like 10 other questions because he's not a hip hop head. He was like, "What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean?" He's like,
Yeah.
"I will blow on your track." And then we'll tell the story Wednesday.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Good stories for Wednesday. All right.
But he comes to Christmas every year and plays harmonica, plays some Christmas songs.
Do you
Yeah.
remember he played, wasn't it Silent Night? He stood on your stairway, Anthony, and we all were.
Yeah. It's a pretty good summary of our Christmas, that a Jewish blues musician comes to our Christmas and plays Silent Night on the harmonica. It was pretty awesome. I think our whole family, all the cousins, were like, "This is incredible!" Yeah.
Hey,
Therese, she started
nice.
Plant Paradox. Stick with it, Therese.
Oh,
Around 2 weeks, you'll hit a breaking point, and you push through it, and your life will be changed. That's at
There's
least
a couple
how I-
breaking points. Day 3 is insane too.
Day 3, 2 to 3 weeks, and then 5 to 6 weeks. If you can get through those, give or take some time, you will be on a new path for the
Smooth
rest of the year.
sailing.
it becomes much less difficult in just your lifestyle.
It's effortless after that, almost.
And then isn't it amazing? Like you just look at a recipe and you're like, I know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And even if the
Yeah.
recipe isn't Plant Paradox, you're like, oh, got it. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know?
All right, we have a lot to talk about on Wednesday. Let's bust out. Thank you, everyone. Happy Monday.
Love you.
Peace.
Hey, Mama,
Much love.
I love you. I'll talk to you later. Send me your grocery list. Buy some groceries for your mom. Okay.
Yes.
Bye.